Gaming discourse is in the mud. 2025 was an amazing year for video games, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who is a genuine lover of video games disagreeing with that. This year we had several amazing titles from smaller studios and dev teams who all released games filled to the brim with creativity, passion, and a deep admiration for the medium. And all of those games achieved some level of notable success, which in an industry that's constantly laying off talented individuals and teams to save their corporate dollar is a powerful thing. Especially when the love for video games and the shared love for the culture of gaming is one of the things that inspired these people to succeed in spite of these dire times. They succeed and support each other. I've seen countless artworks from several of these studios, whether they be AAA, AA, or smaller, all supporting the launches of their peers' titles, congratulating them on units sold. I've even seen these developers shout out their peers and give credit and praise to the games and people that inspired them. And that's awesome, and that's something we should all be partaking in, that genuine kindness and appreciation for the games in this space, even the ones that we don't play.
Unless, the game's a scam, or the people who are making it are kind of shitty, or just anything that might be like a little bit unethical. Yeah, like you don't really gotta give a fuck about that, to be honest.
And we should still be able to have healthy and meaningful conversations about these games. But us as consumers, we don't do that. And I'm saying we and us because I view myself as part of the gaming community, and because I'm in this community, this is also my problem too. We're unable to have any kind of meaningful conversations about anything because instead of engaging with the media and the community with the intent to walk away with new understanding, new perspectives, or at least some agreeable level of opinions, we on the consumer side of gaming tend to not want to talk about anything with that intent, but instead rely on hyperbolic statements, hype, and outrage to try to get across any kind of feeling that we have about something. And when we're not doing that, sometimes we're just talking out of our ass and saying completely misinformed statements, whether that be intentional or not. Yes, you are reading that correctly. For example, one of these hot button topics right now is the award winner for art direction being Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and people immediately downplaying the visual identity of Clair Obscur for their preferred game because, bias exists in all of us. They'd rather this award go to a game like Silksong or Hades without having the meaningful conversation to facilitate that, or at least praise the game that they're foaming at the mouth to defend. What's crazy is that these conversations are easy to have and they're super easy to talk about. It just takes a little bit of effort. Watch. Silksong's visuals have found a way to find harmony between whimsical and foreboding. The sometimes gothic-ish imagery adds this layer of sinisterness and uncertainty, and all of the environments kind of carry this motif with how they use color, the blurred backgrounds making the landscapes feel massive and believable, and the use of shadows in the foreground imagery. It shows that the exploration within these dangerous areas is the focus. These characters, despite having very adorable designs because they're cute little bugs, still have a sense of danger and melancholy around them due to them lacking any definitive facial features aside from their mask/insectoid faces, which adds more to this very sad tone, this very sad visual identity. Whereas Expedition 33 feels like this very beautiful and chaotic canvas with colors splashed around everywhere at varying intensities. Each area these colors touch have their own chromatic focus. I'm talking intense reds, super cool blues, beautiful and lush greens, these very rustic browns, all contrasted against the broken sky, torn down buildings, decrepit areas, and what at times feels like sketched areas caught in the process of being expanded upon or erased. The characters being presented in a more realistic way helps convey the feeling that they are almost in over their heads when contrasted to this very fantastical setting. You're able to visually tell that the odds are stacked against them during this journey. You see them in their uniforms with these colors, with a very reserved color palette that also sells the idea that these characters live in a very remote area disconnected from the rest of this colorful world. And once these characters with these very simple colors compared to the rest of the environment are placed there, it really helps emphasize the meaning and impact of their journey, and it hones in on that feeling of unfamiliarity. The use of flowers, petals, and paint strokes during the attacks help us feel like these characters are using these aspects of colors and paint to make combat. It makes them seem beautiful, and that beauty sometimes comes across as precision, which feels very intentful. You see how easy that is? I just sat down with my thoughts and gave it a shot. But we as gamers aren't doing that, nor are we encouraging people to try to have talks like this. And it's sad because even if we have our own preferences, we can still sit down and come together and talk about these titles, talk about these games with honesty, with integrity, and with appreciation. And sadly, we'll probably never get to that point because a large portion of us would need to start behaving this way. A lot of us would need to do some inner healing and inner work so we can talk about things this way. So now we're just kind of left with this toxic environment that's been allowed to exist in gaming. And I'm sick of it, and I want to change that. So let's start.